My name is Sam Butarbutar. I am a Bay Area resident, and I am also the co founder and culinary director of Third Culture Bakery here in Berkeley. Third Culture comes from kids who grew up in a culture that's different from their parents. And so, myself and my partner are creating a bakery that reflects our childhood and all the flavors that we had growing up, and just creating this space where we can kind of celebrate the fact that we're stuck in between two cultures. Specifically, I was born in Indonesia. And when I was 1 years old, until I was 7 years old, I was in New York City. My parents had a job assignment to work with the Indonesian government. And when I turned 8, we went back to Indonesia for 4 years. And to make it more complicated, in the middle of fourth grade, I spent a year back in the States and then went back to Indonesia, finished my elementary school, and then finally, my last move was in seventh grade when I went back to the United States. And so I had to relearn the language so many times. I had to relearn English so many times. When I would go back to Indonesia, I felt like I wasn't Indonesian enough anymore because some of the pop culture references and some of the languages have become different. And so I felt like I was a little lost. And the same happened when I went back to the States, where I felt like I wasn't American enough. I went to school in UC Berkeley, and they had an Indonesian American student association. So I attended one of the mixer meetings. I still remember that moment where I was talking to them, and I felt like an outsider in a way. Even just the lingo and the way they talk, I had become different. My accent is more countryside, and so it's like, wow, I've spent more time in the States. But when I graduated, I had a difficult time finding a job. And so I kind of just went back to thinking what I loved growing up. And one of the things I loved was just being in the kitchen with my mom. And so I knew that I wanted to make my way back to the kitchen to be more creative. I started baking actually out of my apartment in 2014. And somehow, some way, here I am now living in the Bay Area. I have a full-blown bakery. My blood is Indonesian, and I'm very proud of the cultural upbringing that I had. I think it gave me such a rich and grounded perspective as an adult. But at the same time, the traditional Indonesian culture is in a way very conservative. They are not very accepting of gay individuals. They don't recognize gay marriage. And I have not traveled to Indonesia as a married man with my husband. And so I needed to be in a different culture like America to fully express my identity. My relationship with immigration has been positive. My dad was working with a company that was working with the Indonesian government. And so we had to go through the immigration process like anybody else. And it took a long time. But growing up, and still to this day, I feel that it is such an important part of our culture to have a very healthy immigration process. And I don't know, I think I have always been taught that immigration and the diversity of ideas, the diversity of like culture has just always been such a good thing. None of us are here to take advantage of anything. We always come with such a hunger to do better, a hunger to improve the livelihood of others, whether it is the immigrants or the native citizens of the place that they're immigrating to. I think it's just the heart of immigrants are just so pure and so, I don't know how to describe it. They just want to help other people because they have seen the struggles in themselves. I think that's the biggest thing. And so for me, being someone who have established themselves in the United States, that we have a successful business and that we are supporting the local Bay Area economy. We source ingredients from local vendors. We have 28 employees. It's undeniable the impact of this diversity to our livelihood, to our local economy. It's more important than ever to emphasize that, especially from us as business owners who have gone through immigration, to share that. I think this is just an unfortunate blip in historical times, and I am very hopeful that we will have that positive relationship with immigration that we've always had. This country would not exist without immigrants. End of story, period.